Most diet apps are built for casual dieters, not bodybuilders looking to build serious muscle and get precise macros. So if you felt let down by generic weight loss tools, you're not alone. Fortunately, there are options. Our team at 𝘕𝘂𝑀 has tested over 20 nutrition apps, and we've compiled a list of the best ones specifically to help you with your bodybuilding goals. So if you're in a hurry, here's our top pick. MacroFactor stands above all the rest for bodybuilding specific goals and food tracking. And here's why. Its built-in coaching dynamically changes the macros, so the calories, the fats, the carbs, the protein, based on your weekly progress and based on the goals that you're setting. And while a lot of other apps will promise this, it's really hard to find an app that does it right. It's the smartest, most accurate, and most intuitive nutrition app we've used to make sure your targets always match your goals, preferences, and pace of progress. That said, MacroFactor does not have a free version. However, there is a free 7-day trial where you can use a MacroFactor app when you use the code FEASTGOOD, which will add an extra week to your free trial. So in choosing the best bodybuilding app, there's a couple of key criteria that we're going to go through. So the first one is, does the app produce accurate calorie and macronutrient targets? And seeing that it's a bodybuilding app, we're looking to preserve as much lean muscle mass or build as much lean muscle mass as we can while minimizing body fat gain. Now that's a delicate balance, and we want to make sure that the app produces strict and accurate calorie and macronutrient targets so that you can closely monitor and adjust as needed. Next, we look at, does it provide personalized adjustments for nutritional targets? What I mean by that is, we need an app that can update its recommended calorie and macronutrient targets based on your progress and based on the information you're putting into it. Of course, if you're a seasoned bodybuilder, you might not need exactly an app to tell you when and how to adjust those targets, but having an app that has that capacity can help you if you aren't really sure how to do that, or if you're somebody who just wants to have it be a reaffirming notion from an app saying, hey, this is when we want to do it, this is how we're going to do it, and you can pair that up with your own insight. So next we're going to look at, was there an accurate and verified food database? So first, a reliable food database makes it really easy to find foods and put them in there. Next, we want to make sure that the foods are actually verified, meaning the calorie content's right, like the nutritional label says on the food, the macronutrients such as fats, protein, and carbs, and even the serving sizes. Are they accurate based on the numbers you put into the app? Is the app properly pulling that data? Both of these are huge because having a database that has a bunch of foods in it makes it really easy to track. And then of course, making sure that they're actually verified with the nutrition labels makes it so that the app can continue to produce accurate suggestions and results. Next, we want to look at, does the app provide an option to store your own recipes? When you're doing a bodybuilding diet, sometimes things can get bland, so it's nice to produce your own recipes with seasonings and spices and ingredients that you can store when you're meal prepping and have that right in the app every time you need it. Having the option to store your homemade recipes or meal prep bulk recipes in the app and have it where you can just simply weigh it out and have the nutrition data put right into the app for you after you initially put it in is a huge time saver, which will help you with your consistency in logging your foods. And the last criteria we're going to look at is the ability of the app to track important bodybuilding metrics. The days of putting your body fat and your weight and your circumferences of your muscles and all of that information is gone. We don't do that anymore in journals. However, having an app that allows us to store that data, collect that data, prompt us to continue to put that data in on a reoccurring basis. And some bonus points for the app is, can it have you upload photos so you can track your progress? And does it have the capacity to show you 3, 5, 7, 30, 90-day trends of what you've been doing and how the rate of loss or rate of weight gain you've been holding? And then can it actually take that data and start to forecast where you will be in 1 week, 2 weeks, and 4 weeks? So with that being said, that's our criteria for rating the bodybuilding apps that we went through. And we went through 5 different apps. The first app we went through was MacroFactor. Then we followed it up with Cronometer. Then we followed it up with MyFitnessPal. Next, we look at the Carbon Diet Coaching app. And last, we looked at the RP Diet app. So before we dive into the full breakdown of each app, the pros and the cons, I'm going to give you just a general overview of what we found. The first best overall app was the MacroFactor app. Next, the Cronometer app We figured that was best for people who really wanted the data. The next app we looked at was MyFitnessPal, and that was probably the best app for people who ate out in restaurants or didn't meal prep a lot at home. Next, we looked at the Carbon Diet Coach app. That was the second best, right behind the MacroFactor app for a guided coaching experience. And then lastly, the RP Diet app. That was the best for experienced dieters or serious bodybuilders who are really, really good with being super strict and consistent with their diet. So coming at number 4 is the Carbon Diet Coaching app. And this is the second best app if you're looking for a guided experience right behind the MacroFactor app. The Carbon app delivers a smart and adaptive way to adjust your diet, similar to the MacroFactor app. So after initially collecting all your information such as age, weight, your goals, it will start to produce targets for you, but only if you're tracking consistently. This adherence first process is there to help develop discipline. However, it can feel discouraging for people when starting out if they missed a few entries. This is where MacroFactor, our number 1 app in this review process, sets itself apart. Unlike the Carbon app, the MacroFactor app allows you to be imperfect and really tries to get you back on track and doesn't penalize you for missing meals. The food database in the Carbon Diet Coaching app is comprehensive, and it does have a lot of brands that can be found in the US, the UK, and Australia. It also lacks recipe database, but you can create your own recipes and save it in the app. So some highlights for the Carbon Diet app. It's very user-friendly and has a clean interface. So if you're somebody who hasn't used a lot of diet coaching apps in the past, that's a huge bonus. The food database is robust and has a lot of great information on the nutrition profile of a lot of the foods. So if you're somebody who's looking for that information, or if you're looking for bodybuilding specific nutrients, that is a huge bonus as well. The app also includes weekly check-ins, which is huge for keeping you on track with your consistency. And its built-in coaching keeps you engaged throughout the process, and it helps adjust your diet and your targets based on your progress. So some drawbacks of the Carbon Diet app is that it does not offer a free version. So if you want to try it out, you just have to pay for a whole month. Another drawback of this is your nutrition targets do not update or change unless you've been super adherent with the program. Now, this can be a huge pro if you're somebody who is super into nutrition, and consistency obviously is key for nutrition and for bodybuilding, but it can be a little bit of a drawback if you're just getting started or if you've missed a few meals, because it feels like it can derail your progress, when in reality, we could make some slight adjustments like the MacroFactor app does and still keep you on track. So to finalize some key features of the Carbon Diet Coaching app, the barcode scanner is pretty intuitive and it offers a wide range of foods in that database. There are default meal and snack options. However, you can change that to where you can have 7 meals and snacks a day. You can select your goals and a preferred end date of that goal, as well as you can set your preferred day you want to have the check-in. Ultimately, the Carbon Diet Coaching app allows you to customize or choose your diet style. You can adjust the grams, and you can even adjust the grams based on each of the 3 macronutrients to fit your own style and preference. MacroFactor is the most functional and intuitive macro tracking app built for both fat loss and muscle gain, making it great for all levels of bodybuilders. It's like having a bodybuilding coach in your pocket. You start by doing a quick onboarding session, putting in your basic metrics like your height, your weight, your activity levels, your goals, and then the app will analyze that and start to update your targets with precision. You can choose from 3 different coaching modes within the app. The first is going to be coached, and that's where the app's going to handle all the updates for you. Every week, it's going to adjust your macros and your targets. The second is collaborative. So it's a mix between the app doing it for you and then you having the ability to collaborate with the app and make some changes as you need. And the third is manual mode. So that's going to be all up to you as the user. You can further customize the app by putting in your rate of progress. So if you want to be really aggressive or you want to take it slower, you can change the percentage of how much protein you want in your diet. It will give you recommendations, but you can think about if you normally eat a higher protein diet, you can have that. Or if you want to have it more lower, it's still going to put you in the right range. But just based on the foods you gravitate towards, you have the flexibility to adjust that. And then as a bonus, you can upload weight, body circumference measurements, body fat percentages, and pictures, all helping to track the trends so you have all the data when you look back and look forward into the future. So some quick highlights. It has a rich, accurate, and verified food database. It's designed to encourage consistency over perfection. It can update your targets based on your trends and as you go. And you can log all the important stats you want for your bodybuilding specific goals, such as your physique photos, body fat percentages, body weight, and body circumferences. So some drawbacks: it's not a workout logger. And secondly, there is no free version. So you can use the code FEASTGOOD and you can get 1 free week of the app, but there's no free version. So to recap the key features of MacroFactor: it has a custom and dynamic calorie and macronutrient target system. All food entries are verified and they come with the ability to see the full breakdown in terms of protein, fats, and carbs, and even dive into what types of amino acids are within the proteins you're eating. You have the ability to log multiple meals in multiple different ways using AI, prompt chats, using scan, using self-descriptive, or even just typing in what you ate. And the most newly updated feature is that you can actually take a picture of your meal and it will start to pull that information and put it in there, making it super easy to track and stay consistent with your diet. So next we're gonna look at the MyFitnessPal app. And like we said earlier, this is a great app for people who eat out in restaurants a lot. MyFitnessPal is probably the most well-known nutrition app on the list. It's been around forever. And while it still offers a ton of value, it slipped down into our 3rd spot for 2 main reasons. The first is that most of its key features are behind a paywall. And second, it really has been struggling to evolve with the needs of the users. That said, if you're somebody who eats out a lot in big chains or big restaurants, it has an expansive and massive database with a lot of foods in there, making it great for on-the-go people who need to stay consistent with their tracking. Their barcode scanners work globally. We even had a colleague of ours who was using it in South Korea. So like most other apps, it allows you to track your calories and set your targets. However, unlike some other apps like MacroFactor, it doesn't adjust these automatically for you and track those trends and make decisions on a week-to-week basis for you. So if you're an experienced lifter or bodybuilder who understands how to do that and when to do it, this might not be a huge concern. But if you're somebody who's looking to have the app really drive those decision-making processes, then this could be a big deal breaker. But in reality, the biggest flaw we're seeing is the accuracy in the database itself. Because a lot of entries are user submitted, there is no verification or review on the back end. We're just kind of going on hoping that people who put their stuff in were being accurate and thorough. And then it can also be a little frustrating when you start to see duplicate things in there with different nutritional data. So some quick highlights of the MyFitnessPal app is that it does have a lot of foods that are found in a lot of food restaurant chains. So if you're somebody on the go, this could be something you need. You can set up your calorie targets and MacroFactor splits in terms of percentage of fat, carbs, and protein. And the premium paid version does allow you to put that into grams instead of just percentages. And the app itself does have many meal plans as well as recipes. However, that is behind the paid wall. And lastly, you can access many meal and recipe options from the app. You just have to have the paid version. So some drawbacks of MyFitnessPal app: given that there's numerous inaccurate food entries in there because it's a lot of user-driven data, this might not be the best app for people who have limited nutritional knowledge, who can cross-check based on what they know, based on what they see the app, and make the adjustments. Next, unless you have the paid version, there's no way to set targets based on grams of a macronutrient. You're just kind of left to look at the calories and then use your percentages to kind of estimate where you're at. Another drawback is that the barcode and a lot of the other helpful features are all during the paid version of the app. And lastly, the app does not automatically update your targets, your calories, and adjust based on your rate of progress on a week-to-week basis. So in recap, the key features of the MyFitnessPal app is that you can track up to 6 meals and snacks per day. The calories and macronutrients for each meal and snack are shown right next to it in the list. So it's very easy to kind of track and look at those numbers. On the paid version, you can follow certain meal plans and recipes, and you can even look at like intermittent fasting schedules on the paid version. And the barcode itself, if you have the paid version, it's very intuitive. It can scan and it has a wide range of foods within the database, even if you're in different countries. So the last bodybuilding nutritional app on this list is the 𝘕𝘵 Diet app. And this is the best app we feel for super rigid and very experienced bodybuilders who are not at all prone to struggling with adherence. The 𝘕𝘵 Diet app was built by the team at Renaissance Periodization, led by Dr. Mike Israetel, a competitive bodybuilder and someone who holds a PhD in sports science. So there's no surprise that this app comes with serious structure and a lot of backing from the sciences. Like the MacroFactor and the Carbon Diet Coaching app, this app adapts to your progress week to week. However, unlike those other apps, it does take into account your full training programs. So it looks at your frequency when you're training to really try and lock down your training schedules and adjust your eating based on around you train, and then also how your nutrition is going to change based on pre and post workout. Now, this app has amazing levels of precision, and this is great for bodybuilders or lifters out there who can adhere to a plan and want to have zero guesswork. It's very precise. But for lifters or competitive bodybuilders who may be in the off season, or they just want more of a balanced approach, it can feel very restrictive and very overwhelming at times if you do not stick to the adherence 100%. That said, the 𝘕𝘵 team is stacked full of high-end professionals who are extremely qualified, such as pro dietitians, PhDs, and athletes. Not to count the plethora of users who have had amazing results on this app. So whether the structure and rigidity of the plan can help or maybe be a limitation for you, it's really up to you. So some highlights of the 𝘕𝘵 Diet app. You will know exactly how many grams of protein, fats, and carbs you'll be eating at each meal. And you can copy and paste meals from one day to the next, or maybe from the meal to meal, making logging very smooth and very consistent. A drawback for some is that the 𝘕𝘵 Diet does not necessarily track total calories. It just tracks macros per meal and per day, fats, protein, and carbs in grams. However, you could tally up your total caloric intake for that day. You would just have to do the math, multiplying the grams of either fats, carbs, or protein by their number of calories per gram. The app itself does not track any of the micronutrients, your body fat. It does not track circumferences. It really just looks at your body weight. The app really highlights on you hitting every meal with the proper macronutrients, so the grams of fats, carbs, and protein, rather than just trying to focus on a singular day goal. You're trying to hit every meal as an individual goal. That, of course, can be very restricting to some, but sometimes it could actually reset you. If you miss a meal, you could get back on track and think about not losing a whole day, but rather just losing a meal. It really just depends on how you view that type of thing. So to recap the key features of the 𝘕𝘵 Diet Coaching app, the app will provide custom macronutrient targets based on your consistency and based on your training frequency. You can also add foods to your shopping list within the 𝘕𝘵 Diet app, so you can pull it up and it can make shopping and tracking a much smoother process. And lastly, this app really does focus on pre and post workout nutrition, which is really key if you're somebody who's super dialed in. It will really take into account when you're training, how hard you're training, and adjust your macros based on all of that information. So quickly want to mention an app that we tested, but it didn't make the cut, and that is SnapCalorie. Now, this is an app that was advertised where you could take a picture of your foods, and the app would then take that information and set targets based on your nutrition and your macronutrients. And it even has an AI chatbot named Snappy that would help you make better decisions. So why didn't it make the cut? First, let's look at the good. First, the calorie targets that were provided by the app did match the targets that we would set for ourselves based on our goals, so that's good. You can even choose your preferred macronutrient split. So if you want to follow a higher fat, lower carb, or more of a balanced, or maybe higher carb, lower fat, you have the ability to do that. And logging meals was very flexible. You would simply take a photo and you'd get an estimate of your calories and macronutrients. You could scan a barcode. You could describe the meal manually, or you could scan a nutrition label. I really found that the describe meal function was actually really helpful. And then it would let you tap into each individual food that was in the photo, and you could set the serving size you were eating. So what's the issue? Well, the main issue we found was that the main function of the app, which was taking a picture of your foods, led to the app being very inaccurate with its total calculations when it was running calories and macronutrients, which, as you can guess, that's problematic where we need to have something accurate when we're trying to lose weight. And as you can guess, that can be problematic with the nutrition app where we want accuracy, so that we can really drive the goals we're after. We found it frequently misidentified foods, portion sizes, and you'd often have to edit the foods manually, which kind of defeated the purpose of just being able to snap a picture of it. So ultimately, until the image recognition improves, we didn't really feel this was a great option for serious bodybuilders or anyone out there looking to have accurate meal tracking with still having ease of use, because you had to manually edit a lot of things. And at that point, we should just be looking at some other apps. So next, we're going to dive into what results should you expect when using a bodybuilding app. So first and foremost, any nutritional app that you should be using for bodybuilding or any fitness goal, it should be accurate and it should be able to provide targets for your macronutrients and calories based on your body, your goals, and have it be an accurate representation of what you actually should be doing. A good app will have a rich library of foods, and it should also be pretty easy to scan everything in there and track it and to look at all your data. Top tier apps, like some of the ones we mentioned, such as Carbon or MacroFactor, will have the ability to also adapt your targets based on your progress, and will often do it automatically if you allow it to coach you using the AI and algorithm functions or in a collaborative mode. Next, you should be training hard. You're bodybuilding, you're trying to gain muscle. The app should be able to allow you to properly fuel, not only for your workouts, but to recover without being overly restrictive. So for a dedicated lifter or bodybuilder, this means ensuring you're staying consistent, hitting your targets, and making sure the app is providing you with enough nutrition to still be able to train hard, build that muscle or maintain the muscle mass you have while putting you in a slight deficit so that you can lose body fat without losing the muscle. Next, a really good bodybuilding diet app should allow you to plan your meals like a pro. So a good app will allow you to pre-log your meals, whether it's a couple hours before or meal plan for the whole day or the whole week, and be able to put those in there, whether you're saving your diet and copying it over from one day to the next because maybe you're eating the same breakfast every day, or maybe you're meal prepping on the weekend and you're saving those certain foods and the amounts and you're putting them in packages, and then you can just simply add that every day in a preset meal macronutrient amount. And lastly, this app should focus on food quality, not just food quantity. So good nutrition apps will allow you to see what you're eating on a daily basis, and it will allow you to even peek behind the curtain of looking at what your micronutrients are, how much fiber you're getting, the vitamins you're getting, so that we're not just focusing on calories, fats, protein, and carbs, which is, while those are the main drivers, we can still look at the other factors to make sure we're still getting a lot of other helpful nutrients for recovery, for longevity, and for overall wellness and health. And this really comes into a prime importance when we are trying to lose body fat, because since we're in a calorie deficit, if we're deficient in certain things such as fiber or vitamins or electrolytes, it's going to start to show its head a little more. And that's why having the data like that will allow us to maybe pinpoint or maybe start to see cautionary flags that we can address before it becomes an issue. So I just wanted to take a moment to explain our testing methodology. So to create ranked app listings, members of our Feast Good team like myself use these apps, we put them on our daily diets, and we really start to learn the app, learn the process, see the pros, the cons, the highlights, to really get a thorough understanding of how it is on the user side of things so that we can do the testing for you. After using the apps and testing them, we really try to look at it through the lens of the specific use case, which in this example is a bodybuilding goal. And we do understand that apps update and they change, so we like to revise these lists and revisit them, making sure that we're keeping up to date with any changes that apps might have that could change the rankings. And last but not least, we listen to feedback from our clients who use these apps and give us different perspective, different use case struggles or triumphs that we can start to weigh in as well. So there you have it. Those are our top bodybuilding apps you can use for your diet. Now, to recap, all 5 of these had very specific use cases. All 5 of them had pros and cons, but overall, the number one app out there, if you're looking for an all-inclusive coaching experience, ease of use, is MacroFactor app. And with the code FEASTGOOD, you can use that and you can get a 7-day free trial. So try it out for yourself and let us know what you think in the comments below.